Have you ever looked in the mirror and wondered, am I still beautiful? It's a quiet question many older women ask themselves, often without ever saying it out loud. As the years pass, the compliments become rarer, the glances shorter, and society subtly suggests that beauty has an expiration date. But what if they're wrong? What if real beauty doesn't fade, it just transforms? What if your silver hair, your laugh lines, your gentle eyes are actually signs of a deeper kind of beauty, one that only shows up with wisdom, confidence, and grace? You might be surprised to learn that many women don't even realize how attractive they truly are, because they're looking for the wrong signs. In today's video, we're going to uncover 7 subtle but powerful signs that you're still a beautiful woman, even if nobody's told you lately. And maybe, just maybe, you'll see yourself with new eyes. So if you've ever felt invisible or wondered if anyone still sees you, stay with me. What you hear today might just change the way you see yourself forever. So today we're going to talk about something that doesn't get said enough, that beauty doesn't disappear with age. In fact, many women over 65 carry a quiet, powerful beauty that turns heads without even realizing it. You don't need plastic surgery. You don't need to look 30 again. What you need is to recognize the signs, the subtle cues that show you still light up a room, still draw people in, still have that spark that no number can erase. In this video, I'll share 7 clear and heartwarming signs that you are, without a doubt, still a beautiful woman, even if the mirror hasn't told you lately, or the world has forgotten how to say it. These signs may surprise you, and some of them might even bring a smile to your face, because deep down you felt them before, but didn't know what they meant. And if you're new here, welcome to Senior Wisdom, a place where your life experience is honored, your voice is heard, and your beauty is celebrated. If you find value in this kind of content, consider subscribing to the channel. Now let's dive into the 7 signs you might be more attractive than you think. 1. People often assume you're younger than you are. One of the clearest and often most overlooked signs that you're still a beautiful older woman is when people are genuinely surprised by your age. It might happen in small, passing moments. The nurse at the clinic double-checks your birth date. The cashier looks stunned when they glance at your ID. Or a younger neighbor says, "Wait, you're how old? I thought you were maybe in your early 60s." These little moments aren't just flattery. They're windows into how others perceive your appearance, your posture, your energy, and they tell you something you might not have realized. You carry a kind of youthful beauty that defies the number on your birth certificate. Take Margaret, for example. She's 71 years old, a retired librarian, soft-spoken, always neatly dressed in calming colors. At her granddaughter's school event, another parent approached her and said, "Are you her mom?" Margaret laughed, assuming it was a joke, but the woman was completely serious. And that wasn't the first time it had happened. Whether it was at the gym, the grocery store, or even on a cruise with her sister, Margaret noticed a pattern. People constantly assumed she was a decade younger. It wasn't just the way she looked, it was the way she moved, smiled, and held herself. She didn't wear heavy makeup or dress to impress. She simply radiated calm confidence, and that in itself was magnetic. There's actually a scientific explanation behind this. Studies show that people don't assess beauty in older adults solely by wrinkle count or skin texture. Instead, they're more influenced by posture, facial expressions, voice tone, and the way someone carries themselves. In fact, researchers at Boston University found that older individuals who maintain upright posture, natural facial expressiveness, and social engagement are often perceived as more attractive and significantly younger than their biological age suggests. That means your beauty might be showing up in the way you sit, walk, laugh, or connect with others, even if you don't notice it in the mirror. So what can you do with this knowledge? The first step is to stop brushing off those compliments. When someone tells you you don't look your age, don't respond with, "Oh, I don't think so," or "They're just being nice." Instead, smile and say thank you, because they're seeing something real. And second, take care of the things that naturally support this inner glow. Drink plenty of water, get restful sleep, stay socially active, and wear colors that flatter your skin tone. These small habits reinforce the vitality people already see in you. And sometimes it's not just about looking young, it's about carrying a presence that makes others feel good in your company. Speaking of presence, there's another sign that reveals your beauty without you even noticing. And it often happens when you walk into a room. Let's talk about that next. 2. You still turn heads, even if it's subtle. One of the quietest but most telling signs that you're still a beautiful woman is this: people notice you when you enter a room, even if they don't say a word. You may not be dressed to stand out, you might not be the loudest or the most glamorous, but somehow eyes still follow you for a moment longer than usual. That moment, that soft glance, that pause, is the world's subtle way of saying you still have it. Let's talk about Carol. She's 68, widowed, lives in a modest home, and volunteers at a local community center. Carol never considered herself striking or flashy. But one day at the center's spring luncheon, as she walked in wearing a simple floral dress and pearl earrings, she noticed several heads turn. A few younger volunteers offered her a seat and smiled warmly. One of them even leaned in later and said, "I hope I age like you someday. You're just lovely." Carol was surprised. She hadn't worn anything special, hadn't done anything different with her hair, but she did feel something that day. She felt at peace with herself, and apparently others felt it too. You see, beauty in older age is often communicated through presence. When a woman walks into a room with poise, kindness in her eyes, and a gentle smile, she becomes impossible to ignore, not because she demands attention, but because she carries something magnetic. Research published in the Journal of Nonverbal Behavior shows that people instinctively respond to nonverbal cues like posture, gait, and expression, often without realizing it. A confident stride, relaxed shoulders, a soft expression, all of these silently broadcast attractiveness and make people take notice. And here's the good news: you don't need designer clothes or a perfect figure to turn heads. Sometimes it's the way your scarf drapes around your shoulders, the elegance in your hands, or the way you genuinely laugh when someone tells a story. All of these create an aura that people are drawn to, even if they can't explain why. To nurture that presence, focus on how you feel more than how you look. Wear what makes you feel graceful, move with intention, and let your natural charm shine through. Now, while turning heads may be subtle and fleeting, there are moments when the signs of your beauty are more direct, and sometimes they come from the most unexpected people. In fact, one of the strongest signals that you're still a beautiful older woman is when complete strangers go out of their way to compliment something about you. And that's exactly what we'll explore in the next sign. 3. Strangers compliment your smile, style, or eyes. Sometimes the most honest reflections of your beauty come from people who don't know you at all. Strangers have no reason to flatter you. They're not your family, your friends, or your coworkers. So when someone you've never met compliments your smile, your outfit, or the way your eyes light up, that's not just kindness. That's truth. And it's one of the most authentic signs that you still radiate beauty, even if you've stopped believing it yourself. Take Nancy, for example. She's 74 and lives in a quiet suburb with her 2 cats. Every Sunday, she walks to the local farmer's market with her canvas tote and sun hat. One morning, as she stood choosing apples, a young man next to her said, "Excuse me, I just wanted to say, you have a beautiful smile. It made my day." Nancy was stunned. She hadn't even realized she'd been smiling. It was a small, spontaneous moment, but it stayed with her for days. And it wasn't the first time. Over the years, She'd heard similar things from cashiers, baristas, even a child in the park who said she looked like a kind queen. These weren't about makeup or perfection. They were about warmth, presence, and something in her face that made others feel good. There's a psychological principle called emotional resonance. And it means that people unconsciously respond to the emotional energy someone gives off. When your face is open, relaxed, and sincere, especially when you smile, it lights up mirror neurons in the brain of the person seeing you. That's why we often feel drawn to people who smile naturally or dress with gentle confidence. A study from the University of California showed that people rated strangers with genuine smiles and expressive eyes as more attractive, regardless of age, weight, or facial symmetry. So if you've ever received a compliment on your smile or your eyes, especially from someone who didn't have to say anything at all, that's not just a nice gesture. It's a reflection of the emotional beauty you're putting out into the world. And let's not forget style. Many older women develop a strong sense of what fits their spirit, whether it's silver bangles, bold lipstick, soft scarves, or vintage blouses. When someone comments on your style, they're not just admiring your clothing. They're responding to the identity, confidence, and thoughtfulness that you've woven into how you present yourself. And the best part, style has no age limit. But while strangers may speak up, there's another group whose silence or curiosity can speak just as loudly. In fact, when other women around your age start asking you questions about your skin, your hair, or your routines, it's a quiet but powerful form of admiration. And that's exactly where we're headed next. 4. Other women your age. Ask about your skincare or hair routine. One of the most flattering and perhaps underrated signs of beauty as an older woman is when other women around your age start asking you questions like, what moisturizer do you use, or who does your hair? These questions may seem casual, even friendly, but they often come from a deeper place: admiration, curiosity, and sometimes even envy. When a peer notices your glow, it means something, because she knows what it takes to maintain grace through the years. Linda, 70, remembers this happening for the first time at her church group. Another woman, slightly younger, leaned over during a potluck and said, "Linda, I have to ask, your skin always looks so smooth. Do you use something special?" Linda smiled and admitted that she kept her routine simple: a gentle cleanser, a bit of olive oil at night, and sunscreen during the day. But from that moment on, more women began asking about her silver gray bob, her lipstick shade, her gentle floral perfume. At first, Linda was surprised. She never thought of herself as particularly stylish or youthful. But the more she listened, the more she realized her quiet self-care wasn't just working, it was inspiring others. This kind of admiration among women carries real weight. As we age, we become more honest, more selective, and more intentional with our attention. So when an older woman compliments another, it's rarely superficial. It's a recognition of the effort behind the beauty, the early mornings, the consistent hydration, the healthy meals, the decision to carry oneself with pride. Psychologists call this mirrored admiration. We seek in others what we hope to bring out in ourselves. And when women your age look to you for beauty advice, it means you've become a quiet role model. That doesn't mean you have to have a complex routine or follow the latest beauty trends. In fact, what makes women like Linda so attractive isn't what's in their bathroom cabinet. It's the consistency, self-respect, and naturalness they exude. It's not about looking like you're 45. It's about showing up in the world looking like the best version of 70. And beauty shared between women is deeply affirming. It builds connection, sparks conversations, and reminds us that aging doesn't mean fading. It means evolving. If you've ever had someone ask, "How do you stay looking so fresh?" you should smile and take it as the quiet compliment it is. You're still shining, and others are noticing. Now, if compliments from your peers are meaningful, the words used to describe you can be even more powerful. Because sometimes beauty is hidden in the language people choose when they speak about you. And the next sign reveals exactly how those words reflect your timeless charm. 5. You're often described as graceful, elegant, or charming. Sometimes people can't quite put their finger on what makes you beautiful. So instead of saying pretty or attractive, they choose words like graceful, elegant, or charming. And while these words may sound subtle, they speak volumes about how you are perceived. These are not compliments tossed around politely. They are reflections of a lasting impression, the kind that grows stronger with age and depth. Take Eleanor, for example. At 70, she doesn't wear flashy clothes or dramatic makeup. She prefers simple pearl earrings, soft cardigans, and classic flats. Yet whenever she attends family gatherings or community events, people often say things like, "There's something so graceful about her," or "She's just such an elegant lady." Eleanor used to brush off those compliments, thinking they were just polite words used in place of old. But over time, she realized that elegance is its own kind of beauty, one that doesn't fade but matures. Gracefulness isn't just about how you walk or sit. It's the way you speak gently, listen fully, and treat others with kindness. Elegance can be found in posture, in thoughtful pauses, in how you carry yourself when no one is watching. And charm? Charm is a spark that never really goes out. It's in the way you smile when meeting someone new, the way you tell stories with warmth, the way you offer comfort with nothing but your presence. These traits are like fine wine. They don't vanish with time, they deepen and become more distinctive. From a psychological standpoint, these qualities tap into something called aesthetic maturity. Studies in social psychology show that as we grow older, our brains begin to value emotional intelligence, warmth, and poise as key indicators of attractiveness. That's why someone who might not fit conventional beauty standards in youth can become radiant in older age because she's learned how to connect, how to lead with kindness, and how to move through the world with dignity. In fact, in surveys of older adults, words like elegance and grace were most often associated with women others admired deeply. So the next time someone describes you using one of these words, don't dismiss it, embrace it. It means you're leaving an impression that touches more than the eye. It touches the heart. And that's a beauty that no wrinkle can erase. But grace and elegance aren't just about appearance or demeanor. Sometimes beauty is recognized through the way others treat you, especially in everyday moments when you least expect it. And that leads us into the next subtle sign you may still be turning heads, even if the gestures are quiet. You still receive small acts of chivalry. Sometimes beauty is noticed not through words, but through actions, especially the small, thoughtful gestures others make when they're in your presence. You may not even think twice about it, but when someone holds the door open for you, offers you their seat, or insists on carrying your groceries to the car, it often says more than 100 compliments. These little acts of kindness, which can be quiet acknowledgments of grace, charm, and yes, continued attractiveness. Let's think about Joanne. She's 16, walks with confidence, and has an unmistakable sparkle in her eyes. She was at her local coffee shop one morning when a young man in his 20s stood up and gave her his seat by the window. She was surprised. She wasn't frail or visibly struggling, but he simply smiled and said, "Please, ma'am, you look like someone who deserves the sunshine." Joanne chuckled at first, but that simple gesture stayed with her all week. It wasn't about age, it was about presence. She didn't demand attention, she simply had it. These gestures, pulling out a chair, offering an umbrella, waiting to let you pass, are often signs of quiet admiration. Especially when they come from strangers or younger people, they show that your presence is still commanding, your femininity still apparent. Sociologists call this perceived social value, and it's not necessarily tied to physical beauty alone, but to how people feel in your company. When others make space for you, physically or emotionally, It often reflects the aura you carry, and that aura is built over years of lived experience, self-respect, and how you treat others in return. These moments aren't always grand or dramatic, but they are deeply human. They remind you that you still make an impact just by being you. And while some may say, "Oh, that's just good manners," let's not forget, people don't go out of their way to be courteous to everyone. If they're doing it for you, it means they notice something. And that something may just be beauty in its quietest, most respectful form. So the next time someone insists you go ahead in line or tips their hat with a smile, take it in. It's not about pity, it's about presence. You still light up a space and others feel it, even when you don't. Now, while others' actions and words are meaningful, perhaps the most powerful sign of beauty comes not from the outside at all, but from within. Because nothing shines brighter than a woman who is completely, unapologetically at peace with who she is. And that's exactly where we're headed next. 7. You feel comfortable in your own skin. Perhaps the most beautiful sign of all, and the one that no mirror can ever fully capture, is when you've reached a point in life where you feel genuinely comfortable in your own skin. It's the quiet confidence that comes from no longer chasing perfection, no longer needing to impress, and no longer apologizing for who you are. This kind of self-assurance doesn't scream. It doesn't try too hard, it simply is. And that makes it radiant. Marianne, 73, used to struggle with self-image her whole life. In her 40s, she worried about her weight. In her 50s, it was her laugh lines. By her 60s, she feared becoming invisible. But something shifted in her early 70s. One morning as she was brushing her hair, she looked in the mirror and smiled. Not because she thought she looked young again, but because she finally saw a woman she respected. That morning, she put on her favorite blue blouse, some rose lipstick, and walked to the park. She greeted neighbors, complimented strangers, and sat by the fountain feeling completely herself. "I didn't realize how free I could feel," she said. "I didn't need anyone to tell me I looked good. I just knew it." This level of self-acceptance is magnetic. According to studies in positive psychology, people are naturally drawn to individuals who display authenticity. In fact, researchers found that self-accepting individuals are often perceived as more attractive, not because of symmetry or youth, but because of how at ease they are in their bodies and personalities. That ease sends a clear message. I know who I am, and I like who I've become. And there is nothing more beautiful than that. This doesn't mean you never have insecurities or off days. We all do. But when you carry yourself without shame, when you show up as your full self, people respond. Not to the surface, but to your spirit. The twinkle in your eye when you talk about your garden, the warmth in your voice when you speak to your grandchildren, the strength in your posture as you walk into a room. These are all signs of a woman who's grown into her beauty instead of away from it. So if you wake up most mornings feeling at peace, if you can laugh at yourself, dance in your kitchen, or look in the mirror without judgment, that's a sign, a powerful one. You are beautiful, and more importantly, you know it now. And now that we've uncovered all 7 signs, let's take a moment to breathe, reflect, and truly absorb what they mean. Because your beauty is real, your presence matters, and your journey deserves to be honored. Let's wrap this up together with a heartfelt reminder just for you. If you're still watching right now, that means this message is resonating with you. Why not drop a comment with the number 6 below? It lets me know you're here. And don't forget to subscribe and tap the bell so you won't miss our next heartfelt video. So let's take a moment to reflect on everything we've uncovered together today. Maybe you've noticed that people often assume you're younger than your actual age. And that's not just luck, that's presence. Perhaps you still turn a few heads, even in the most ordinary moments, and you didn't realize what a gift that is. Maybe strangers have told you they love your smile or complimented your style without any reason except genuine admiration. Other women, your peers, have asked how you care for your skin or style your hair because they quietly look up to you. You've been described as graceful, elegant, charming, words that carry more weight than pretty ever could. You've received small gestures of kindness, like doors being held or seats being offered, because people feel something warm and special in your presence. And most importantly, you've come to a place where you feel truly comfortable in your own skin. And that's the most powerful kind of beauty there is. You may not have seen these signs before, or perhaps you brushed them off. But today you see them for what they are, real, living proof that your beauty hasn't disappeared. It's evolved. And here's the best part. Every single one of these things can grow stronger, starting today. With a little more awareness, a little more self-care, and a whole lot of self-love, you can step into the next chapter of your life glowing from the inside out. If this video touched your heart, I'd love to hear from you. Share one thing that resonated with you today. Maybe a moment you recognize yourself, or something you'd forgotten to appreciate. I read every comment, and your words truly mean the world to me. Thank you for spending this time with me. Your presence, your wisdom, and your beauty, they matter more than you know. And if you found comfort or encouragement here today, consider subscribing and sharing this video with another beautiful woman who might need to hear this too. Until next time, take care of yourself, gently, patiently, and with the same kindness you give to others. You are seen, you are valued, you are deeply loved.